This is video blog number 3 about the writing of the screenplay. Obviously our short film Speed Date is entirely dependent on the characters that we've created, the female characters that we've created within the story. Which means that we had to, when we were doing the screenplay, we had to spend the majority of the time developing the characters and making them strong enough characters to support the main lead role. When making the character, we would sort of we'd take a relatively simple concept such as a girl who's quite heavily into religion, for example, quite a simple concept, and then twist it even more out of proportion, and make it more awkward. I guess in some ways we thought of people that we knew. I guess we sort of thought of people who knew who slightly had these sorts of these traits, slightly like a little bit like this, and then just blew it up completely out of proportion and made it even more crazy than it should have been, I guess. So for each character, with the first one we have is Sophie, the one at the beginning, and she's, as she says, she's a hairdresser, and she takes out hair and she starts to sniff the hair, which is quite a creepy thing to do on any time really, but especially on a first date. The next character we have is Purell, and she's a clean freak. She detests the idea of germs, carries around a bottle of hand sanitizer in her bag, and even starts giving James facts about how many germs are on the human body and hands and stuff. The next character we have is Hashtag, and quite possibly she is the most annoying character. She's sort of like, I guess she fits into one of these stereotypical sort of chavvy girls, I guess. You know, addicted to Twitter, literally talks as if she's on the internet the whole time, like in verbal communication, and actually says sort of synonyms and stuff that you wouldn't actually use. The next character is obviously the mothering one. The mothering one, personally, I would find the weirdest if I was actually to be doing these dates, because you expect to go in there sort of looking for like some sort of physical relationship or something, and you get this person who's trying to groom you at the same time, sort of like trying to make sure that your appearance is okay, that you haven't got any marks on your face, your tie is straight. And personally, I'd find that the strangest of the dates, and probably the one I'd want to run away from. We've got the dude. He's a very simple character, just a guy. I mean, personally, I'd want the person who plays it, I want him to be as masculine as possible, just to make it look and seem that much more awkward. And yeah. Then we come to Religious Girl. Religious Girl is probably my favourite character out of them all, because I just love the way that things seem to escalate so quickly with her. She starts off sort of quite normal, just talking about religion and how she feels about Christianity and atheism and that sort of thing, and then she goes on to start quoting the Bible at him, and not just sort of normal quotes, just sort of, the strangest, creepiest quotes that there are in the Bible, and then turns when James quotes a relatively simple and innocent quote back at her. Then we come to the sort of the slutty character. Again, quite sort of an interesting character, but again a very stereotypical character. Maybe this is the sort of thing that can happen. I guess it's not as sort of unbelievable and slightly more realistic, but again it's still blown out of proportion, with like the rubbing of the crotch and that sort of thing, making it harder to believe again and making it sort of that much more insane. And then of course we have the very aptly named normal girl. She's just, a girl at the end. She's the most normal girl is Metal Knight, and she's the one that they happen to sort of, happens to get along with quite well and just have a talk and a laugh with. The comedy aspect of this, making the screenplay, well, our idea of funny, and hoping that it is funny, wasn't quite like as easy as it might sound, because we want to try and keep the humour quite subtle and not quite so in your face, and make it so they'd say lines that may not at first seem funny, but when you realise what they've said, it is quite funny. This means that a lot of the stuff that we originally had either got taken out or changed. For example, with the slutty character, at the end we had her literally saying, "I guess I'm not the only one who's moist now," but we decided that maybe that was crossing the line a bit, and decided to take it out completely, as it just didn't fit with the rest of the screenplay. It was very in your face and very out there and quite extreme, really, compared to the rest of the content. The whole thing is entirely dialogue dependent. The visual imagery is purely down to sort of facial reactions and clothing and props, and that's as far as we go with the visual imagery. We felt that it would be better to do a dialogue dependent short film, as we felt it sort of fit our comedic style a lot better, sort of with like these one-liners and these sort of lines that at first don't seem funny, like I said before, don't seem funny, but then you realise what they've actually said and how far they've taken it. Well, you can, like, we didn't feel that we'd be able to do a film so well where it was no dialogue at all, where it was one of these ones where it's just, you know, no voiceover, just literally just what's happening on screen is where you're getting the comedy or the, you know, whatever the action from. And we didn't feel that we'd be able to do that as well or as effectively as something we're using dialogue with.